Hi, I'm Tom DeChiaro and I'm running for town council here in Yorktown.
Okay. And describe the role of a councilman.
Role of councilman. Well, first and foremost, anyone who's elected to public office is a public servant. So our job is to understand the concerns of our citizens and try to address them in the best way possible. In addition, councilman is just one member of a 5-person board. And in addition to being responsible for the budgetary aspects of the town, it's their responsibility to look out over the next several years to find out what the greatest challenges we are going to be facing as a community and to put in an action plan to be able to address them. And we also have the responsibility of working together for our community.
Okay. What do you bring to that role?
Well, I have a fairly broad background in terms of my experience. I've worked both for small and large corporations, and I am an entrepreneur and a business owner in town. And I've had an opportunity to see firsthand what it's like to open a business in Yorktown. And the reputation that Yorktown has as an anti-business community is not only a perception, it's a reality. And you have to look at what that means for us as a community. Primarily the tax base and the revenues that we derive are very burdensome on the homeowner because our tax base is so small, commercial tax base is so small. And the reason it is because we just discourage anyone from trying to invest in our community. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example that had to do with me specifically. I, as you know, own the winery on Route 6. I just want to make a point that it's a really beautiful historic building that I spent a great deal of time restoring because I really believe in preserving our history and our historic structures. But I also understand what the wine industry is just not only in the country, because in California it's a big part of their economic base, but here in New York we are the 3rd largest producer of wine in the United States. And so if you look at the economic viability of the wine industry in the country and in New York, it adds a lot of economic value. So when I started the winery project, we had garnered some investors to put in some vineyards and maybe some other small wineries and create a little wine trail, which would have been a great economic boom for the northern Westchester, Putnam County area. And when they observed the attitude of trying to get a business open here in our town, they walked away. And that type of behavior has to cease. We have to be able to attract businesses that want to invest large amounts of money in our community that not only serve the public, but generate and create jobs, but they generate a good deal of rateable taxing revenue for the town and sales tax. And so it's very important to manage and change the perception of the town as it relates to its attitudes towards business.
How does your professional experience, how would that reflect into the government work?
Well, I've done a fair amount of government work myself. My experience is on the commercial side. I worked at IBM, and there I was responsible for business transformation. So you could look at business transformation as going into an organization that's very, very large. IBM had over 300,000 employees at the time, and looking at the way their internal processes work. At every level, from corporate down to manufacturing, down to sales and marketing, and customer facing, and figuring out how we do things or how we did things and how we should best do them in the future in order to stay competitive with our customers. And on the government side of things, I worked in the defense industry, so we were developing military training devices that were very important to our soldiers who were overseas, flying Apache helicopters, because that was something specifically that we worked on, and developing training simulators. And my responsibility in that company was as an executive relationship manager to the various companies that provided technology, resources, and staff on these projects, as well as with Congress, because we had to lobby at the congressional level, to get funding to make sure that our warfighters and our soldiers had the appropriate training devices that they need. So from navigating through government agencies on the federal level and working in business transformation and the personalities and executives at companies like IBM and Boeing and HP and Microsoft and so on, I feel I really have a real good breadth of experience that I can bring to the table that I'm not sure has been here before. And it's a different point of view, it's a different set of eyes, and it's always good to be able to look at things from new points of view.